All right, I am very excited for today's episode. I've been dreaming about chatting with my guest, Jeremy Walton, with the Walton Method. And we are going to be talking about mental health, how that goes into professional development. This is the guy, this is the source of information. He has helped me tremendously in my professional development. So I wanted to bring Jeremy on to share his wisdom with the world about how mental health is starting to affect professionals in a very positive way and how it's starting to really become a thing because mental health has been so, I don't know, like kind of shunned on to discuss that it's not okay to be okay. And we're just trying to flip that conversation. So Jeremy, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always. So Jeremy, can you maybe kind of give it a bit of a background on who you are, how Walton Method kind of started, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, my name is Jeremy Walton. I am a certified personal trainer, a 200-hour registered yoga teacher, and a meditation facilitator. And I developed a program that's a combination of movement and meditation called the Walton Method. The movement aspect of the workouts is based off of an acronym I called Be Safe. So balance, strength, agility, flexibility, and endurance. And that with a combination of meditation daily, I feel like it's a mindful performance-based practice that allows individuals to find a harmony both between the expectations of their performance and the necessary time to recover and retract into reflection and gratitude as well.
So like your journey was originally you were getting into personal training, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of just how you got into it. Let's just kind of do your regular movement, when was that?
2001.
2001. So ever since then to today, how have you seen the movement to mental to health? How have you seen that merge and change in the industry?
Yeah, I would say that around the time that I became a personal trainer, I had just got done playing college football. And at the same time, I took my first yoga class. And so I'd seen yoga and Pilates and mind-body based training start to get popular in the West Coast in California. And so as I was training and bringing those elements, I noticed that my performance went up. I noticed that my ability to be focused also lasted longer through meditation and yoga. And then I started doing research on different ways that athleticism and mindfulness connect. And that's when you start to discover that, the Chicago Bulls in the 90s used Zen meditation and mindfulness, Kobe Bryant and the Lakers when Phil Jackson got there. And so as I saw that athletes were starting to use this, you'd start seeing that a lot of professions after tech companies like Google, Yahoo would bring rooms that allowed for meditation for better focus as well. And I would say through the pandemic and beyond, I've never seen this much concern on mental well-being across the country or even globally as I do today. So I think to have gotten this far, to be having this many people have these kind of discussions now is encouraging, even though it seems like maybe sometimes the numbers look like they're working against us as well.
So one of the things that I do in my company, right?
Yeah.
I started this mental health seminar every quarter, and it goes off of the idea that it's not okay to not be okay in people's minds, right? Like listen, in sales, if you're not working, if you're not pushing 100%, 7 days a week, 365, you're failing, right? Like there's this like mindset of weakness is being mentally weak, right?
Yeah.
Where I found the opposite is that if you're not showing vulnerability, you're pretending to be something that's impossible. We're human. We're vulnerable, right? Now, you can still be strong and also vulnerable at the same time. And the reason that we're starting to do these mental health seminars with you is to remind people that how important it is to be regenerative in your thinking, in giving your space to recover. And I've seen a massive positive change because just on having the conversation alone with my agents, they feel like they are more supported. They feel like they are okay to come to the office and discuss things that might be on their minds, which then reinforces to them that they have support, that they are in a safe place. And they then go out feeling almost refreshed from that. So, when you're coming to like where you think this is going and what would be the most beneficial for people to be able to either put this practice into their day-to-day, like kind of how do you see this potentially could help somebody if they would just transition this and put something like this, a mental health focus in their life?
Yeah, I would say that one, in our country, you do have to embrace the fact that it's a competitive space, especially as you said in sales. Sales is a competitive profession, but to be a great salesperson is to have empathy, because people purchase based on emotion. And so your time taken into your mental health allows you to connect with another person, to make better connection. And through better connection, you have better relationships. Through better relationships, you have a better network. And through a better network, odds are more likely that you have better opportunities for success. So I would say that most of us need to start shifting our mindset a bit when it comes to actionable steps towards our mental health, to not necessarily say it in a sense of something that you turn down or something that you recover from, but it's actually something that you feed into a similar way that you would for training your body, training your mind, training your knowledge of whatever skill set that you're working on. Your mental health is also something you're training yourself to do. You're training yourself to navigate the levels of stress in your daily life that are unavoidable. And so once you accept the fact that there's no running away from stress, you then have to figure out ways to navigate your stress, manage your stress, refuel yourself so that you can go back out there again and combat this stress. And just like you said, I think now that companies like yourselves, like yours, who take these things very seriously, giving your agents the opportunities to explore those things for themselves, gives them just that little amount of space. They can now construct a pattern of thinking, a pattern of practice that allows them to be at their best more times than not, rather than doing what our cycle usually is, which is you're just pushing to the very last fuel cells that you have. You burn out, you need to take 2 weeks off, you come back and you do it all over again in this really unhealthy cycle.
Because the way that we always talk about the best form and the formula of success is consistently doing the right activities over a long period of time.
100%.
And 70% of your success is attitude-based, right? So what I tell people, when you know that 70%, one thing is responsible for the 70% of your total success. So where should you be focusing the most on?
Right.
Right? And people forget that.
That's right.
And in real estate, for sure, what happens is that when people start to get exhausted, they let off the gas pedal. They stop making those phone calls. They're like, well, I'm just exhausted. The one day off turns into a week.
That's right.
Turned 2 weeks, potentially a month. And the way that I've also seen how that compounds is that one day off takes you 3 days to get back on, because this is a slow moving train. It's all inertia based, momentum based. So my biggest fear since day one, because this happened to me so many times, is that you stumble and then you have a bad week. And then all of a sudden you have a bad month because it takes you 3 weeks to get back on. But those 3 weeks you're working your ass off. So then if you don't stay consistent through that fourth week, you fall off again. It's like this up and down cycle. And that's why all these agents that take summers off say they have slow winters. No, it's just you didn't do the right activities in the summer, which then makes that compounded effect over wintertime, which then takes you until next spring to get back out.
And even think about how those things affect your self-confidence, and you get self-doubt because you'll start looking elsewhere as the reasons for your failures or the reasons for your struggles. I couldn't agree more. When you take full responsibility of your actions, not necessarily the outcome, but certainly your actions. So knowing that I make these calls does X, knowing that when I'm talking to these particular or potential customers, that I'm engaged with them when I'm talking to them. Whatever they bring up in these conversations, if I bring it up again the next time I talk to them, it just goes to show that I'm paying attention. So if I'm at my best on a regular basis, and when I say that, I'm not at perfection, I am simply at my most focused, my most able-bodied, my most rested in the best possible way that I can. I am the most present in that moment. I know that I'm doing the actions that would fulfill me to compound the results that I would be looking to have.
Got it out.
Yeah.
the race in life to me, and I always talk about the personal rating, right? Where everybody rates themselves if they know it or not, right? People that are down on themselves, that think the world's against them, that say that sales isn't for me or I'm not good at this or whatever, have a low personal rating, right? In real estate, you have to have an 8+ rating, in my opinion, because what that does is it allows for negativity not to come at you. It allows for you to consistently keep pushing. So then what that really means is that in general, you're not competing against anyone but yourself, right? Everybody looks outward and they look in the left and right lanes. Who am I trying to beat? Where am I at competition wise? But nobody looks inward. And when they get because of that, then they allow themselves, they're not dialed in. Then they get exhausted to the point where they can't push forward.
Right.
And then they don't do the things that are good for their mental health.
Right.
Which is things like working out, eating well, right? The meditation practice, all of that, right? So, it's such a personal struggle and people just forget that.
I love that you brought that up. I think that it's difficult to navigate what you see now where everyone's like, here's a life hack for this, here's a life hack for that, here's a life hack for this. And we're all trying to find this curated menu for our mental health, our financial and physical success, our long-term growth, all these things, right? But it is your own path, your own life. No one has ever lived as you are in the entire existence of humanity. You're the only one. And when you embrace how powerful that is and really embrace the fact that if you take 100% responsibility of your growth and you start to really understand yourself rather than picking yourself apart, if you understand that I'm not a morning person, so then why are you fighting the morning person mentality? Then if you find yourself thriving in a different time operation than other people, then embrace that. That's something that's unique to you. If meditation's not for you, but breath work is better. If working out in a gym doesn't work for you, but swimming does. Like these are all these different things, but I can tell you 100% physical activity is necessary. Mental and reflection time is necessary, and proper mind and body rest is necessary.
So from personal experience, this shit's hard.
Oh yeah.
Some people would call it impossible.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially talking about habit building.
Yes.
Right. There's books written on this. It's
a $1 billion industry, this industry.
And, I will never forget in the very beginning of my career, there was a speech of a really famous real estate, kind of mogul, whatever, came in and was just talking about, here's the ways of success. And in the beginning of his speech, he's like, I've been doing this for a very long time. And I'll tell you that out of everybody in this room, only 3% of you are actually going to do what I'm telling you to do. And he said in the beginning, he called everybody out. That means out of 100 people, 97 of you are going to go home and not change a goddamn thing. And that always stuck with me because it speaks to the mountain that you have to climb when you're just talking about changing habits. So you've been doing this for a long time, right? You have so many avatars in your mind of the people that you've helped get over that mountain, right? What if somebody's listening today that has been like, man, I've been trying to change this shit for 10 years, right? I just can't stop smoking weed every single night.
Totally.
Or I need my, 3 glasses of wine every single night. Or I just can't get up in the morning and work out. I can't. What are some realistic steps that somebody that you've been able to tell that it's like, this is how to start just the smallest amount of momentum forward to then start going towards a real life change? What does that look like?
Honestly, the best success I've ever had with clients trying to make honest changes is visualization work, to really think ahead of what the best of yourself looks like, works like, feels like. And when they do take the time to really think about who that person is in their mind, and it's not some, far off land human being that has no connection to who they are, but truly themselves, seeing themselves in the actions that they want to be doing, seeing themselves in the mindset that they want to be doing, seeing themselves in the way that they speak, certain confidence, certain calm. When they do that, I start asking, so this person that you have image in your head, what actions do they do on a regular basis? And when they think about it, it's always the same thing. This person is reading regularly. This person is organized. This person is looking for certain levels of discipline. And so when we start understanding that those are actually the goals that they want for themselves, then the actions that we put in place are to strive towards those aspects, not necessarily the glass of wine or the smoke. It's more, I really want these things. And we have to now shift the conversation from instant gratification, which is really hard. It's probably the hardest thing that we have to fight against.
Yep.
And delayed gratification. And it's a lot sexier to say, you know, like I no disrespect to anyone out there, but shopping therapy gives you some dopamine, you know, taking a hit off of a joint or having a shot hits some dopamine.
Like instantly.
And so it's hard to compete with that, right? But
especially in our culture.
100%. It's a great point. And a culture that even in business, meetings and networking gets done at bars and at happy hours, et cetera.
Yep,
so you're navigating a lot of these different things.
You don't see a lot of networking happening at meditation studios.
No, you don't. And you know, before the pandemic,
that's kind of an interesting
there
idea.
were like some trends that people were starting to go to group fitness classes together as a way to connect. But you know, the tried and true is still the bar. It's still the golf course at best, you know. So as you're trying to fight that particular type of culture, when you think the only thing I can always ever preach to these people is that, to the point that this real estate mogul you just brought up, if you are trying to be one of the 3 out of the 100 that is not going to make these habits happen, it's going to take at least 2 days of sacrifice beyond what your usual capacity is.
What does that mean?
So if you're someone who can handle your work, like I do pretty good 3 days in a row, and I'm like, yeah. And then I bet it's the 4th day that you're like, I just don't have it. Now, there's 2 mindsets you can take. You can either, I just need to get through this next day. If I can get through 4 days straight, then I know that I can make it to 5 days. Or it's the mindset that just because you didn't do 4 days in a row doesn't mean you can't get to more days than not. So if you don't make it Thursday, but you can step up and grind on Friday, if you drop off on Saturday but can pick back up on Sunday, it's still more days that you've put towards yourself rather than the ones you haven't. So it's the 2 things that I always say. One is the mindset that you're capable beyond what you think you can. So if you think, I just can't get through my day without having a glass of wine, I can't get through the next thing without having my joint. If you can shift your mindset to be like, I can get one more day without this, that's the one. The other is giving yourself a break, knowing there's a difference between being perfect, where it's flawless this many days in a row, and the percentages, which would be the win-loss column. If at a 30-day challenge, you are trying to commit to, I'm going to meditate for 30 days, I'm going to do some kind of exercise or activity for 30 days, and I'm like not going to smoke for 30 days. Let's just say like that's the goal.
Sure.
Then I would say most people will start that challenge. Like I get so psyched whenever there's a 30-day challenge. And again, those first 4 days, they're killing it.
Yeah.
But in that 5th day, when they break whatever the cycle was, more times than not, people will quit. But like I just said earlier, if you can come back the 2nd day and get on, and you get 2 days in a row, you fall off the 3rd day, again, you come back on. After 30 days, if you maybe at most got 24 out of the 30 days, that's 24 more days of positive action that fed your progress that you wouldn't have done had you not challenged yourself.
Absolutely.
So to your point, the reason that it's so difficult for people is because each decision we make that isn't automatic to our habits takes effort. So it takes preparation for you to make change. And I don't think anyone ever hears about that. You think you're just going to wake up with this mindset that I'm going to have change, like this switch in your head, but it doesn't work that way. If you want to work out, set clothes aside so that you know when you wake up, you're going to put clothes on. If you're someone who works out in the middle of the day, set a timer in your clothes by the door or something that allows you to do that. That's what I mean by prepping. If you know that you have to wake up early if you are going to be successful because it's the only time you have to do those things, then it's your responsibility to set your clothes out the night before, set your coffee up the night before, make all of those simple decisions the night before so you are not sacrificing the energy to make those decisions the day of to make better habit decisions.
One of the things you've told me that really brought that point home is because it's hard the night
It's
before.
hard.
You're like, dude, I had 2 hours of my kids yelling at me after having a hell of a day.
Yeah.
And then I'm feeding my kids food that they were throwing at me.
Totally.
My house is a mess. I had finally cleaned up. And now you're telling me when I have this hour and a half left, I got to do more shit that feels like work, even though it's actually ironically good for you.
Right.
But the way that you brought it home for me is be kind to your tomorrow self. I mean, it's a complete mindset change, because you're like, you know what? At the end of the day, these dishes or the need to work out is still going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's me that's going to have to do that. So if I'm creating another obstacle, another hurdle to get there, then there's less likely of a chance for me to get there. And another thing we talked about is good things are hard, right? The bad things are easy, right? Sitting down, watching TV, and eating ice cream is easy, right? Doing that additional thing of not watching TV, just going upstairs and just sitting in bed to allow yourself to calm down with no screen in your face is so hard, because what is it called? Revenge time.
Yeah.
You like, no, like, this is mine.
I earned this time.
Yeah.
And like, again, I go to your point, I try not to get into the perfection of one's actions. Like, I am a big believer. It's like we're all back in school. If you're grinding all week long for your education, for your day-to-day, you got texts you have to take, you have all these things, celebrate on a Friday, celebrate on your Saturday, handle business, you earned it. But you can't tell me that partying every day and it's only 2 days of like clean eating or clean habits is going to improve your life. It's just not. So to your point of it being so difficult, the one thing I know, and the one thing we all know, is I know I'll feel like crap the next day after treating myself like crap that night.
Yeah, right.
So if you want to feel better the next day, you have to make a sacrifice to say like, okay, I know this will help me feel better. And to your point about treating your tomorrow self better, if you know already how you've experienced the feeling of awful because of habits the night before, if you just experiment with, if I do this the night before I go to bed, how much better do I feel? The more times we can get connected to how we feel based on the things that we do for our body or do to our body, you can create habits that consistently keep you at your up and up. And then once you can get there, it's no longer a thought process. You know deep in your heart, when I do these activities, I am fulfilled. When I do these activities, I feel strong. When I do these activities, I feel confident. And just as the momentum of the decline of bad habits, you get the momentum going up in your good habits.
If I can share something here.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, right? For me, let me just kind of give you a personal experience of how the one thing that actually has changed my life around and actually has had me commit to this type of lifestyle, and that was fear. So what I found because this is a personal journey, right? You're going to find, you got to figure out what is going to be your biggest motivator. What I found my biggest motivator is fear. This is what I mean by that. About 2 months ago, I did blood work and I found out that I am pre-diabetic. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, like, young-ish guy.
You go through the same questions. I'm young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And but then you really start, like, then you're truthful to yourself. It's like, is this a fair assessment? How did I fail this test? Right? Like, okay, I've taken the last 3 years of COVID. I've been barely working out. I've just downing sugar, like it's one of my core elements of food that I need.
Totally.
I am the guy that's smoking. I am the guy that is on the couch. I was being a piece of shit. Like, I was just being a piece of shit. And I got the pre-diabetic diagnosis and I immediately got scared. I was like, I have to be here for my girls. I cannot not be here for them. So it changed my entire life around.
Yeah.
Because it's like you know what's important to you, right? You know what is going to get you to the best lifestyle. But if you can't push yourself to get there, if you can't find that reason to motivate yourself, you're not going to do it. And I'm an advocate of it. Like, I'm okay saying that, right? And I immediately, the first thing I did is I cut out sugar. I thought it was gonna be way more difficult. But every single time I would want to go get some more sugar or whatever, I would remember my girls in my head, right? Like, no. That then went into me feeling a tiny bit better to the point where I had a little bit more energy, so that then I started waking up in the morning and I started to work out a little bit, right? I would just did a 20-minute Peloton. Just something. Just get your fat ass on the fucking bike and just fucking go. It's not a goddamn coat hanger, Greg.
That's right.
You
And
know?
it doesn't have to be this over the top everything out of the gate.
So it actually, what it ended up turning into, the sugar then turned into, okay, I'm gonna make better decisions eating. Then I have more energy. I'm starting to drink more water, less coffee, right? I'm less irritable. I'm starting to spend more time with my family, and I'm focusing. I'm there with my girls way more than I was before, because I'm like, I can't wait for them to go to sleep, because then I can smoke.
Get your time.
Yeah, I can get my fucking time. Revenge time. Now revenge time is, I can't wait to work out in the morning, right? And this is like, Jay, this is like 4 weeks in, right?
Yeah.
This isn't like I'm this health guru and whatnot. And it's something that I think a lot of people, they need to understand, right? I'm not here talking on a mountaintop being like, you suck at life, why are you not doing this? This shit's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it's okay to acknowledge that, but it's anybody can change it. You have to find what's going to motivate you there. To me, it was not being there for my girls in my head because I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy.
And that's the number one fear, is your death. And I think that it's only when we get moments of realization of just how fragile your life is, that you really start taking into account on, it really isn't like just the duration of time, but the quality of time of your life, the quality of your life and the time that you have. And to create high quality anything takes a little bit of tender love and care. It takes a little bit of effort. Like, to get fruits and vegetables for us to farm, man, takes time to get into the soil. It takes watering, it takes sunlight. We are no different. To be in our best takes a little bit of effort in feeding ourselves the right way. And so I always say, man, you got to be selfish with your self-improvement, selfish with it. It has to be uncompromising, the time that you put into yourself. And if you don't find your why, you won't stick with it. And that's what I mean by taking the time to be honest about how you see yourself currently and how you want to see yourself, how you want to experience yourself, and what actions are going to take you into that direction.
Yeah.
And to your point, and one of the things that I try to preach the most is, it does not have to be some packaged delivery system that you may see on the gram or that you may see other people doing. Like, I get it, right? Our celebrities out there who look great and are living this elevated lifestyle, like, I'm not a jealous person. Like, I'm happy for them. I'm glad they have it. But the rest of the world does not live that way. You are out there working 2 jobs, 3 side hustles, and all the things in between. And if you think that you can do that without taking the time to take care of yourself, you're going to reach a short grave, and you will have to blink and ask yourself, did I really live the highest quality of life possible?
Dude, the vulnerability and understanding that, well, social media in general, right,
Yeah.
has created this like fake atmosphere. And everybody knows it.
Everyone knows
But like, everybody plugs into it and being like, man, I'm not as good as X, or man, and then you get depressed, and then it feeds into your negative and being like, all right, whatever, I can't even change it, so I'm just gonna go and do my thing, right?
And I love your point about the realization. Like, I know for a fact that this person is in some island and someone else is holding a camera looking at this person who's pretending to be on this isolated island, while there's probably like 30 people behind them all waiting to get the same picture. We know this. We know this. But it's its own level of dopamine. You are looking at a marketing strategy of sorts, right? Like, if it wasn't on television, which is what's pushing us to buy the cars and to have the homes, now what's getting pushed is like a lifestyle. You have people who are telling you to live remotely and have like cars driving all these different things, and how to make money to do X and how to make money to do all these different stuff.
Yeah.
All of that is irrelevant, because what you just said, once you figure out why you want to put the effort in to make a better life, why it's important to you to stay healthy, why it's important to you to get the rest, taking that time, you can finally see past what social media might be feeding you, and you can be really honest with yourself about what you want for your life.
So to kind of the tail end here of this podcast is, I want to kind of do 2 things. First, let's say somebody's like, all right, dude, this is great. I've been trying to do this. You know, I'm loving what you guys are hearing, but what I'm hearing from you guys. But right? Like, it's like, what is my like 3-step process to just start like just a little bit of that life inertia? What are the 3 steps anybody today can take that can alter and start the butterfly effect to forever change their pathway forward?
I think number one is I want you to think of an activity that you think you could do for the rest of your life. Is it a walk? Is it a swim?
Every day.
Every day. Any activity. The
For how
reason I
long?
say that is
20, 30 minutes?
Yeah. Let's say, 20 to 30 minutes. The reason I say it is like this. Let's say you're 85 years old. You're 85 years old. And you'll tell someone, for the last 30, 40 years of my life, I've been walking a mile every day. It's my time to give me some thought. It's my time for me to connect with being outdoors. It's my time with nature. This is what feeds me. That's what I mean by an activity. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily physical in that nature. Maybe it's I need to read for 30 minutes a day, because that's also self-fulfilling. Anything that can feed your mind or your body, one thing, that has to be something that's consistent. And for anybody, there's not a single person out there who can't tell me that they'll benefit from a walk, a time reading a book, a time writing something down, a time in silence and just breathing. Any of those activities is 100% beneficial to your body and to your mind. And 30 minutes out of 24 hours in a day, you can find. If that one step of an activity that you can do that's manageable and easy to do, that's the first step. The second is, once you are up and moving into something, where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to take your life? I can't tell you how many people are out there with blinders on, just constantly waking up and doing the same thing. But I have to be clear about this. No 2 days are ever the same. Here you and I are sitting here. This day has never existed, and this day will never exist again. Tomorrow has never existed for any of us. So as you're listening to this podcast right now, right? Tomorrow, you're going to start a day that's never happened. How are you going to make real changes to take your life into a direction? And that's what I mean, is where you're going. So the first is, what is it that you're trying to do for yourself that you know will just do better by your body? Some activity that you can commit to. The second is, where are you trying to take your life? And then the third is, why? Why are you trying to go in this direction? Because to your point about vulnerability, I think what's really hard is, in this day and age, is to be authentic to yourself. It's so easy to feel like we need to be pressured to be a character of ourselves, to be an exaggeration of ourselves, to be some standout so my voice can be heard, so I can stand out amongst my peers, my competition, etc. But I don't think a lot of us are really working that hard to be as honest with ourselves as we can be. And so when you go to your why and you really find out what your values are in life, I think that then your actions feed those values. And when you're feeding your values, I think that trifecta of, this is why I do all these things, and these are the things that I do that fulfill that why, and this is where I'm trying to take my life in it. I think those 3 aspects, or those 3 questions to ask yourself, would set you up on a path that I don't just think would be successful for you, but I think that it would be very honest and authentic to you.
And like, to bring this back to the example I just talked about, what did I do for my body? I cut out sugar, right? What's the one thing that I was doing positively movement-wise for is I decided that I want to do 30 minutes of workout every single day. So feed my healthy choice, good workout, good movement, and my why, my girls.
Right.
And it's like,
and then you said, where do I want to take this? I want to be there for my girls. So as they're adults, I'm still here. If there's grandkids in the future, I'm still here.
And that small recipe has allowed me to get over my, now there's still a mountain to climb.
Of course.
Like, I'm talking, this is for the rest of my life.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm feeling great now.
Right.
There's going to be times where I'm like, fuck, I just can't do this anymore. Like, whatever. It's like, I'm exhausted or whatever. There's going to be times. Everybody has skeletons in their closet. But I found that keeping it the power of 3, right?
Yeah.
First off, is the best way to do anything.
Yep.
And the focuses that I've been able to give myself, just these small things, have compounded this consistent, actionable movement forward that I have never felt, or maybe at this point in my recent past, I've never felt better.
Right. I'm certainly post-COVID, right?
I'm clear-minded. And I think everybody needs to realize that COVID fucked us all up.
It did.
And now we're in this post-COVID life era. it's time to reinvent ourselves. It's
It
time to
is.
stop making excuses, because it's when we took literally pause for put a pause for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? People, we didn't fucking talk to anybody.
Totally.
We didn't even leave our house.
You talk about community. How hard is it that usually in times of struggle for human beings, we usually lean on each other to be support. But because of this particular virus, we had to shun each other for our health.
So now we feel weird against each other.
So we didn't feel connected. That's why I think all this disharmony is a compound effect of that.
So I feel like right now people have a pathway, two pathways to choose. Keep going down the pathway of negativity, or realize this is the time to reinvent yourself. And anything that's happened yesterday doesn't have to happen today.
That's right.
No better day than today.
And it's okay to remember, there is no escape from stress. So these have to be activities. These have to be things that you remember you're doing to be able to manage your stress. And I think a lot of times people are trying to find this sweet spot where like there's no challenges in life, or there's no challenges in your future. There's nothing but challenges in life. That's how it works. You are constantly being tested to survive. And more importantly now, tested to survive and thrive. So you have to be consistently putting yourself in your best mental state, in your best physical state, and in your best emotional state. That takes personal effort and personal time.
And understanding that and respecting that.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing I want to do. Visualization. You have the most sultry voice that is fantastic to listen to. Your incredible meditation guidance. What I would like to do is I'm going to do this live here, but anybody that's listening to this now, I want them to have the ability to close their eyes for 2 minutes, let's call it, listening to your motivational, your guidance, to start getting people to be able to start visualizing in a way that is going to start helping them change their life. And I just I want this because it's helped me so much, because once you give yourself the break, the way to just kind of calm down and listen and really start to think about these things, you kind of open up, you revitalize, and then you just take that step forward. So would you be up for doing like a 2-minute visualization, kind of Wendy of Billions style, get after it?
You know it.
All right.
You know it.
So
All right.
I'm just oh man, this is great. All right.
Everyone, just find a comfortable position for yourself. It can be seated, it could be lying, whatever works for you. Close your eyes in that position. Take a slow, deep inhale through your nose and relaxing exhale from your mouth. And just find a rhythm of breath that feels effortless for you. An easy inhale and easy exhale. Now from there, I want you to add a second of length to your inhale and a second of length to your exhale. And now try to maintain this new cycle of breath. Feel the muscles of your eyes and forehead relax, your jaw and neck, shoulders. Now, as you're holding this space, allow yourself to imagine the sun rising in the morning. And as you wake up, there isn't a dread of the day, but rather a lift in your posture, in your mindset. You know exactly what has to get done. You know exactly how to do it. You remember what you're capable of. You know how far you've come. There is not a single obstacle, challenge, or competitor that can stop you from forward movement or elevated growth. This day has been begging for you to step up and shine, unapologetically shine, for your success, for your relationships, for your personal growth. This is your day, your time. The world is begging you to take it. Take a slow, deep inhale through your nose. Relaxed exhale from your mouth. Open your eyes and go get it done.
My man. what I'm talking about. Jay, this is awesome, man.
Thanks, brother.
Dude, thank you. I love all the success that I'm seeing with the Walton method. I love that you're preaching the gospel of mental health. Your movement coaching. If anybody wants to get in touch with you or follow you, what would be the best mediums?
Yeah, you can check out my website at waltonmethod.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Walton Method.
That's WALTON method.
Correct. And you can see the events that I'm throwing, hosting, the partnerships I'm working with, different events, both digitally and in person, and access to meditations and workouts in all different types of mediums. So I'm here to help. That's my mission in life, is to give everyone as many tools as possible to thrive and to live and perform to their very best. And I want people to be champions of their lives.
Jay, I love you, brother.
Thanks. Love you too, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for
you
coming
know
in.
it.